Watching the Queen's funeral, he couldn't help but be reminded of the pageantry of his family's funerals. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice. We've got a mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Paul Bryan. Oh, Chungo. Chungo's coming on tomorrow.
All right.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes, Bryan Callen is on today.
Yes, sir. Look at that. Look at that applause. Look at that applause. I never get tired of it.
His comedy special is called Man Tears, and it is very funny. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free because that is the new world order.
It's the new way we do it.
And Bryan always has a nice mixture of jokes and punchlines, but with philosophies and thoughts. And he's a Renaissance man.
I try to be. I'm older. So if you're going to be 55 and not say something with your comedy,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There's always that pressure to be thematic. You can write jokes. And now that I've kind of I'm trying to figure out what my next theme is going to be. I think it's probably going to be the fact that I don't know where any of us fit in the future.
I was going antebellum.
Well, now you're talking.
I thought it was more of a dress thing.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's a psychological
It should
approach.
always start with dress because style is more important than substance, as we know.
Well, you will get the substance from watching this special, and there's a few stories that stand out to me. But first, I'm glad you're in here because I had a evolutionary kind of biological thought over the weekend, which is I was in Malibu. And I leave the patio door just sort of open. There's a front thing, balcony, whatever, second floor.
So many doors in the mansion.
Just leave it open when I go to bed at night because it's nice outside. There's not a lot of mosquitoes or anything in Malibu. And I woke up Saturday morning to see that there was a live bird inside of my house. And it was in the back where there's a slider. There's a glass slider. It is, it's got a 4-foot fixed panel, and it's got a 4-foot sliding panel. And so if you slide it all the way open, it's 50% open. The bird kept hopping up and banging against the glass.
God, they're so dumb.
And when the bird saw me, he started really panicking, just kept smacking the glass and coming smacking. I had slid the door wide open and the screen wide open, so just 2 feet to the left was wide open air, but it just kept banging, and I felt bad for it. It was like making little chirpy sounds, and I was like, should I get the broom and try to sweep it out? But I thought to myself, all right, what's going on? Well, the bird sees daylight through the glass and then attempts to fly at it.
And senses there's a carnivore in the room.
Right, predator.
And also, birds will often pick fights with their own reflection.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They'll go at their own reflection in a piece of glass.
Very territorial.
Because that other bird is being just as aggressive as they are.
But I thought to myself, although they're a much better looking bird than the one that's in the mirror, but I thought to myself, I get it. Glass hasn't been around. Windows haven't been around for 2 million years.
Yeah.
But long enough so they could pass down this wisdom to generations of stop fucking flying into shit and killing yourself. Like thousands of birds die every year just flying to a window.
Domestic cats and windows.
Yes. Two biggest killers of birds. But shouldn't they catch on at some point?
Well,
you're not feeling the air, the wind coming through here. There's something
First
to
of all,
it.
they have bird brains.
Yes.
No, I think, so rattlesnakes, I was in Texas, and I'm doing Tim Kennedy, who's I don't know if you know Tim. Tim was a special forces guy, one of the top MMA fighters in the world. He wrote this amazing book called Scars and Stripes, and he took me through a whole day of special forces training. Never going to be in the special forces, don't have the bone structure, the temperament, or anything else. But there was a rattlesnake that they caught, and the rattlesnake doesn't rattle. And when you put it on the ground, you come at it, it won't rattle. And because they've evolved, they figured out that when you rattle, you get killed. So now the ones in Texas don't rattle. They just go, I'm going to stay very quiet.
Right.
And that's a classic example of snakes are smarter than birds.
Yeah, their great-grandfather didn't employ that system, but they have learned, is what I'm saying. Yes. This bird, I'm no ornithologist.
Sure.
Yep, there you go.
And I am.
But
go
I
on.
guessed it looked like it was a couple years old. Feel like this could have been passed down, this little piece of wisdom of not flying into commercial buildings and smacking against glass
Over
and
and
killing.
over again.
The bird
Yeah.
might have been like, in Malibu is rare. The bird was probably like, this guy's a right-wing meat eater, and he's going to kill me because he's hard on little things.
And he
Thing-
panicked.
And he panicked.
And he forgot the lessons passed down from his elder birds.
I had a
Out the window, so to
I
speak.
talk about this on stage. I had the weirdest experience with this whole bird thing. I go in for therapy. I'm not a therapy guy, and this guy comes highly recommended. And I get in the office, and the guy has a giant picture of a bird, and he's got the encyclopedia of birds. And I basically said to him, he was a bird enthusiast, not even an ornithologist. He's just a bird enthusiast, guy who watches
A birder.
birds,
Yeah.
a birder. And I had all these thoughts. I was like, first of all, I was like, you're definitely white if you're a bird watcher. There's no such thing as
yeah.
a black bird watcher. Well,
No.
no, we have equality.
They're bird eaters, but they're not watchers.
Right. Well, no, we have true equality.
They
with
watch them
black
come out
people.
of the deep fryer.
Yeah,
That's the
Sorry,
guy
go
who got
ahead.
in trouble in Central Park. the black guy,
I didn't
right?
even want to say it because I didn't want to
He was
shit
a
on his
bird
point.
watcher.
He was a birder.
There you go.
That's a very
Yeah.
rare.
Just the one.
Outlier.
For me, I'd be like, don't believe you. Well, I'm just saying, well, no equality when black people are like, oh, is that a finch? You know?
Yeah.
But I said something to him that was really interesting, and he kind of wrote it down. I said, I could never be interested in just regular birds. Like if I see a regular bird that eats seeds and chirps, I don't care. If I saw an eagle, I'd drop a baby. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's. But why is that? One is because it's the overlord of the sky.
Yes.
But then I see like a blue jay and it's pretty, but I don't really give a shit. And he thought that was very significant. He pointed to that being my inability to be vulnerable or something. And that was the last time I went there because I can't open that can of worms. It's just
No
too.
pun
Are you
intended.
guys with me that I do not want to know what my therapist is into by what's hanging on the wall other than the degree. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't want to
Yes.
know that they collect hippo figurines. I
Right.
don't want them to be into birds. I don't even know what team they're into. I like to think of them as here to serve me
Agreed.
and have no other interests other than my own
Yeah.
personal matter.
Outside of this room.
That's right.
Robotherapist.
Well, I had
Right.
I had a hernia done when I was like, I don't know, 20, in my 20s. And this bothered me, but the guy who was going to do the operation, he was muscular, he was short, muscular, he wore clothes to show that off, and he was a surgeon. And behind him he had a giant picture of him in a race car. And I thought that's not a personality. That's an alpha personality of a guy who likes to crush people on a race. That's not a healer.
Right.
There's something about, I found it very disconcerting. He was a little too macho to be cutting into my groin. I want a guy with soft hands who might have a sort of a landscape, an amorphous landscape behind him.
Scrubs are the toughest outfit to look yoked in. And if you look yoked in scrubs,
Yeah,
you are
it's
fucking
over.
yoked.
Yes.
Right?
More you know.
I'll make an exception for the race car guy because
No, I
I
know.
do
That's why I'm
enjoy the
bringing it up.
cars, although I would like to know what kind of car and what event it was. And then
I think it was a stock. I think it was a NASCAR.
Oh, all
looking
right.
car.
No, it's got no business
Maybe.
bringing that into
So,
the office.
What happened to the bird?
The bird whacked against the glass 10 times. I got in and was trying to coax it to hit the open air, and eventually it hit the open air. But it'll
Very
be back.
concussed.
It'll be back. The point is they should evolve to at
It'd be
least
nice.
figure glass out.
Yeah.
That's all.
That'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
My gal bought me for Valentine's Day. I was in Nashville, and she bought me. She goes, "You're going falcon hunting."
Nice.
And I went, I'm not a big, all right, I'll shoot a
Who are
deer.
you,
if
my
I eat it."
therapist, bitch?
Exactly. And I went, all right. So we go to the outskirts of Nashville, and the guy's got falcons. And in fact, they weren't falcons, they were red-tailed hawks, but apparently there's not a big difference, as you guys know.
They have a little helmet.
These didn't have helmets, but they had bells on their feet. And then you go hunting for squirrels and rabbits with falcons, and falcons are brutal on squirrels. They'll grab a squirrel from the trees or you spook the squirrel, and the squirrel's running around, and the falcon grabs the squirrel and starts eating it. And sometimes the falcon goes, "Oh, I'm not going to hunt a squirrel. There's a rattlesnake down there." And then you got to get the snake out of the bird's talons and get them on point. Not snakes, bro. Squirrels.
Right.
And I watched it kill one squirrel, and I was like, I'm not going to eat the squirrel. And
Yeah,
this is
what's
not
the
my
point?
thing.
Right.
Yeah, you're doing all the work, and I'm running to watch a squirrel get massacred by this giant reptile with feathers. And so that was my
Did you have to wear the big leather glove?
I didn't even get to do that because the guy had to.
I've done that at a resort.
And I said, "How do you tame them?" And he goes, "It's really easy. They'll see a hawk up on a power line. You put a piece of meat there with a trap, with a snare. The goes down to eat the meat. It gets caught in the snare by its leg. Now you put on a very heavy glove, and you basically you tie that hawk to your arm, to your arm, and you feed it. And for 12 days, that thing lives on your arm the whole time. And you know what happens? It imprints on you. So now it just takes 12 days for a wild hawk to be like, you're my daddy. I'm going to sit on your arm because I know I get meat. And oh, by the way, I know you're now going to feed me a squirrel. And what they would do is when the squirrel would die, they'd cut, this is a terrible story, but they would cut the leg off and the thing would swallow the leg whole. And I was like, well, there it is. So if you're starving, guys, get a piece of meat, tie a falcon to your forearm, and in the zombie apocalypse, you're going to have a belly full of squirrel, but at least you won't die, okay? And that's the point of this podcast, Adam. You're welcome.
Survival.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
Do yourself a favor.
Spreading the mirth.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's weird. There's no version of animal anything that's not brutal.
Yeah.
We just sort of choose to look the other way, or somehow butterflies are better than roaches or something like that. I was actually talking, I don't think I was talking about it on this show, but as long as we're going down this road, my TV kind of spazzed out, and I have the smart TV. It lamed out. It tarted out.
No. It's getting worse.
All right. It wasn't working correctly, but YouTube was working correctly.
Okay.
And I found myself watching these little, here's a thing on ants or a thing on crabs, you know what I mean?
Always at war.
And the ants, which I enjoy, the ants do battle with hornets, but they don't do battle they kill the hornets.
They do? They beat hornets?
Well, what they do is the ants go right up to the hornet's nest and they just start systematically killing them.
Really?
Nice.
And they kill them, and they kill the queen, they kill the saplings, the young.
Are you talking about bees or hornets?
Hornets.
Really?
They go right on up. They march it right on over to the nest. They go into the nest and they kill everything that's in the nest.
Good little ant.
And the answer as to why they do that, it's not because the hornets hunt them or attack them. It's because the hornets eat what they eat. So their thing is like, we got to kill all these
resource competition.
You
think they were human?
Go kill them.
It's like buying up another company.
And then we get the market cornered. Good. And I also thought
diabolical.
There is a kind of a thing in nature which is it's kind of absolutism. It's like that. This is how it works. Mm-hmm. This is what they do. They don't. It's not a matter of them being nice or mean. Yeah. It's just this is nature. This is how it works. We've evolved pretty good. There are a handful of folks out there that don't participate, but I think it's also the part of us that we fear nature because of that relentlessness. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when you
can't reason.
The grizzly bear's just killing you. There's nothing else involved.
Right. If you put two ants from different species in a jar or anything, it doesn't matter. They fight immediately. They go right to war.
Really?
Yes. Ants, different species are always at war with each other. But I think, here's my theory. Tell me what you think of this. Because in the special, I do this joke where I say when two men meet each other for the first time, after all the protocol, but if you really think about if the only question going on in their mind when they meet each other for the first time, if you get rid of everything is, could I kill this motherfucker?
Yes.
That's literally what it is. Like if we were in a room naked, who comes out first, right? And when I do that joke, everybody, all the guys
comes first
clap.
or comes out?
I didn't hear it.
Comes first.
Comes first.
That's right.
I like where your head's at, dude. I like where.
That's what he said.
In some cultures,
Yes.
that's how you assert dominance.
Yes.
But
yes.
is that are human beings still that competitive, aggressive ape? And do we just express that innate primal sort of need to establish that dominance hierarchy in different ways? Do we just have more productive ways to do it? Isn't that what sports are about? Business is about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Most
do you think?
interactions.
I had this experience many years ago, which is I was living in an apartment building in North Hollywood on Carpenter Street or Avenue. And I was selling my pickup truck back when you'd put it in the recycler and then some guy would show up and he'd just start haggling out in the street. And it was a horrible way to spend a Saturday. And as a matter of fact, you could probably do it because it'd always be some Armenian accented guy.
I can get you.
He would come in and he'd try to beat up on the truck. You know, what is this? And how did this get here? You know, and it's a 84 Dawson or Nissan used pickup truck that retails for $5,700 and you're trying to get $1,700 and this guy wants to know why there's a scratch in the bed.
It's
and
not
it's like
tip top, my friend.
It's because it's used.
The first thing you do is you go, this was not the truck in the pictures. This I can't.
I had the greatest exchange with this guy ever where he just kept going and going and going. We could probably recreate it. And at a certain point, I said to him, look, what is the most you would pay for this pickup truck? And he's like, well, it's my friend with the scratch and the thing. I couldn't possibly spend more than $1,400. And I said, okay, well, thanks for coming by. And he's like, what? Where are you going?
Where's the bartering?
I said, what's the most you can spend? He said, 14. I said, okay, that's lower than what I want. So we're done. And he went, but what is, like come back. And I said, why, if it's $1,400 and one nickel, if you stop at 14, if that's the most, and he kept going, that's just not possibly
I like your technique.
Spend for, and I go, well, then we're done. And he would go like, well, come back. And I was like, is that the most you could possibly? He said, absolutely. So that was that. But while this was going on, there was a big yoked Mexican guy, big, thick, muscular Mexican guy, and he was moving in to the building. So now it's me in my 20s, and here's this big, tough guy, and he's moving in, and it's a small building. It's got like 6 units. So I'm doing what Brian's talking about. I'm sizing the guy up.
Yeah, you got to size him up.
I'm sizing him up, and I'm kind of looking at him, and it's like he's really well built. And so I walk up to him, and I go, moving in the building? And he's like, yeah, man of few words, And then at some point he goes, do I know you? And I said, I don't know. Did you go to North Hollywood High? Maybe you know me. He said, no. I said, did you play like Pop Warner football out here in the Valley or something? He said, no. I said, okay, I was getting a little big dude, getting a little spooked.
Yeah.
It was a lot of mystery in this conversation. And
you
then
engage in nightly fight clubs?
Yeah, he goes, yeah, I know you. And I said, how? And he goes, we fought. And I went, oh, yeah, there was this dude who I fought in the street years earlier.
What?
Yeah.
Was this at that party?
Was at a party.
In the alley?
It was like a make-out party. Someone's parents were out of town.
Sure.
No, it was in the middle of the street. We fought. Him and his bros, like from the other part of the valley, like came rolling into the house, all full of their own shit, My friends were like broken off, making out with chicks. I get left with the one nutty broad who's insane, who I want no part of, So I literally start making my way down the stairs. It's a hill house going, I'm getting in my truck. I'm going home. And these 4 or 5 scary other valley dudes are coming up the stairs. And as they're coming up the stairs, the crazy chick who probably was like making advances to her, and I was like, I don't want any part of this. I'm going to leave. She says to the guys that I hit her.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's nuts.
She's a bad person.
She's a bad person,
God.
and I rejected her come hither looks that she was giving me. And her friends had teamed up. They'd paired off with my friends. It was a makeout party, and she was getting left.
Oh, boy.
I was going home to rub one out, and not to her.
You showed her.
So she says,
no.
Oh, my God.
She goes.
Was one of them wearing a Believe Women shirt?
It was before Me Too buttons were out, the lapel buttons. But
wow.
Then, of course, the tough guys were like, hey, bro.
Good for them.
Yeah. I was like,
well,
look,
yeah, I mean, you're
she's
supposed
nuts.
to beat the guy up.
I didn't want nothing like that happen. And then they just like, yeah, what kind of pussy, hits a woman and
That's what I wanna
blah,
know.
blah, 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 blah. In the middle of the stairs in the middle of the night. I know there were fucking 4 of them, and my friends were all engaged. And so I was standing there, and I'd had arthroscopic knee surgery. So I still had stitches in my knee, small, but they were there. It was, I don't know, a week after I got this. So the one guy, the lead guy, tough guy, he was like, I should kick your ass. And then I said, I just had knee surgery, so I don't think that'd be a good idea.
I hit women, but I haven't knee surgery.
Right. My hand's good, but I can't kick the bitches anymore. And then he said, I'll never forget this. He goes, I'm going to break your other knee.
Oh.
And I said...
I kind of like him because he's chivalrous.
That's right. That's right.
Like the problem is you agree with those guys, but you're like, I didn't do this.
In any other situation, yes.
Yeah.
So then he said, I'm going to break your other knee. Then I said, okay, then it's on.
Oh, boy.
But we have some conditions here. You other guys, need to kind of stay out of this because this is between me and this guy. And this guy's a big badass. And he can handle me. And so let's go out to the street and then we'll see if we can break my other knee. So they did.
Did the lady have any thoughts at this point?
I think she went back in the house and
good
closed
for her.
the door.
Good for her.
What a
So me and
nasty human being.
Well, she's just been hit.
The big scary Mexican guy who was later moving into my apartment, me and him just went in the street.
Wow.
And we just squared up and then I gave him a beat down.
Because you'd been boxing.
Yeah, I'd been boxing. I was kickboxing. I was boxing. I just gave him a beat down. And at some point, he kind of fell back into his friends or whatever.
But his friends didn't jump in. I like this whole group. Oh, okay.
There was some involvement toward the end.
Yeah.
So then what had happened was he wanted no more. He had a no mas
No
moment.
mas,
And I said, bring it back. Like, we're not done. You wanted this. You wanted to break my other knee. This is your idea. So get back here and let's finish this. And he wouldn't come back out. So then I started verbally taunting him.
Chicken.
And that's when
And you're good at verbal.
it was good.
Yeah.
That's when I felt the baseball bat go backside, thankfully. And thankfully on my good knee, put full aluminum baseball bat to the,
You got
to the
Nancy
good
Kerrigan.
knee from behind. Yeah. Yeah, I got
Wow.
Galooly.
Galooly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which happened to hit above the knee and kind of the meatier part,
Thank
and
God.
it was from behind, so all I did was curtsy, essentially.
Good
and then,
fellow.
Then it pissed me the shit off because I was like, oh my God, I told you fuckers I had a bad knee. This guy comes up behind with a baseball bat to
so
the
you can
knee.
break your other knee.
To the knee. Then a bottle comes sailing at me. The bottle breaks on me. It was thrown. It broke on my shoulder. It was just thrown in such a way that it just happened to hit my shoulder bone and just burst. Didn't leave a cut. Didn't tear my shirt. Didn't get my eyes. Just broken bottle.
Force field. You had
incredible.
You had the Holy Ghost
Broken bottle.
force field around you.
Then they all jumped on me.
Oh, geez.
That's when they all jumped on me. And then they all just started giving me like that gang initiation.
I've had that.
And I got the busted lip from that one, but it wasn't debilitating. It was just a lot of blood. You know what I mean? Then after that ended, I stood there and I was like, who gave me the chicken shit uppercut or whatever? Then it was the black guy who was the leader. He was the kung fu guy.
Oh, boy.
in the
no.
grill.
This
The
feels
comfort.
very 80s movie.
And me and this
Roadhouse.
dude, now this guy had some skills. The other guy was just a big dude. This guy had skills,
Yeah.
so then me and him skilled it off in the street. And eventually cops showed up and everyone ran.
Except for you because you had 2 busted knees.
This guy, now the guy hit me with the bat. It's the guy we spoke to on the radio
right.
show. He's turned out to be a private pilot.
Okay.
Oh.
This guy who you're now seeing after negotiating with.
No, different guy.
Different guy. The one guy was the bat guy.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to find that guy.
Yeah.
Because the one guy, the big Mexican guy, we just fought in the streets and I got the better of him. That was fine. The other kung fu guy, we just fought in the street. But the guy attacked my knee with the bat.
Yeah.
I said, what kind of guy?
I give him a pass because he was hitting in his mind a girl beater. You understand? So
I think he was hitting.
I like his attitude.
But this was less about the girl and more about his boyfriend. Who got
Exactly.
beat up.
If you're beating girls up, then maybe you deserve to have the other knee
But
broken.
to make your point, when the Mexican guy was looking at me in the driveway of my apartment going, we fought, this whole scenario flashed through my head. And I remember he knows I beat him up. And he also knows I got hit with a bat and a bottle and it just pissed me off. And I remember just thinking, this dude's not going to fuck with me he thinks I'm insane.
Yeah.
So that was good. The bat guy was found later, and probably Bryan, you're a dude, and so you're gonna like the dudeness.
Yeah. Let me take my shirt off for
of this story. We've been looking for months for the bat guy.
Yeah.
We knew his name, but we didn't know where he rolled or who he hung out with or
Back
whatever.
in the day when you had a Thompson guide and a phone.
Yeah, that's right.
Flip to
Yeah,
page
it's
118.
Yeah. You're not gonna,
I didn't know Terry was his name. I didn't know where he was.
from the Valley.
He was. He came on the morning show at some point 30 years later.
Did he?
Wow.
Yeah, but he was not happy about it because he was now a professional.
Yeah.
And he
Sounds
didn't
about
really
right.
want to.
That's what
Again,
you get.
I would have defended him. Terry was a good kid. He was a chivalrous.
But the bat only came out, as Gina said, after I beat up his friends. So maybe it was
So he-
more about
Who was he
that.
really avenging?
He was protecting his friend.
Now or never.
Because this guy's good with his hands, but I got a bat, so I'm going to hit him in the,
Later on, months later, I'm at some Valley house party. Was hooked up with some chick that it's sort of peripheral hookup chick thing. We're in the bathroom, making out.
Yep.
And there's like a pounding on the door. And I'm like, leave me alone. And it's my buddy Ray. And he's like, you better open this door right now. I got something for you. And I was like, leave me. I got half a boner, making out.
Yeah.
And Dominique, I'm making out with a chick named Dominique. And she's hot, and I'm like, Ray, just get out. Just leave me alone. It's, you better open the door. He's got the bat dude, Terry, in a full headlock. Full fucking
Happy
headlock. And he's just
birthday.
holding him in a headlock. And the guy's not even struggling
What a
at
great
this
friend.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray's bigger and stronger than everybody. He's got the guy in a full headlock, and he's just standing there. He goes, this is Terry. This is the bat guy. This is the bat guy. I'm like, he was literally like,
I got half a boner.
like offering
I got a full
the squirrel leg to the falcon.
Yeah,
like he was
yeah,
like,
that's
here's
exactly.
my offering to you. Now I could beat him up, but what fun would that be? Here, I will offer him to
Take
you,
a couple shots at his ribs.
and you
While I
beat him
hold his
up.
Oh
head
my
steady.
God.
Yes, and the guy apologized profusely.
Oh, he did.
Yes, and I was like, go.
Yeah, I got other
I gotta go
things.
back to the bathroom.
And the
but,
girl probably thought that was super hot.
yeah, I never quizzed her on it, but
Yeah, trust me.
it
Couldn't
probably
hurt.
seemed.
She liked
I
it.
brought this for you.
Yeah, yeah.
An
He's
offering.
not-
The way
He's
your
not
dog
worth
brings a
it.
dead rabbit to
An
your
offering.
doorstep.
That's great.
Yeah, Terry was on the morning show September 06.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did he remember the story as you remembered the story?
I remember he didn't. What did he laugh off a lot of details? He wasn't really.
I mean, look. The bottom line is he went for
Yes, he did. No, what mode he was in is that was then. I'm now a professional,
Yeah, right.
and I really don't want to relive. I don't want to relive this. No, he was a pilot.
Oh, he was the
He was a private pilot.
Most people I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but a lot of guys in war, when there's a firefight, at least this is from a book called On Killing, or On Combat, whatever the book's called, but they looked at the psychology behind it. Most people in war will sort of shoot over other people's heads.
Really?
Yes, like in World War II, they found that most people did. There was just something about, oh man, I just want to shoot in that direction. But and then there were a couple people in the platoon that were dead shots, and they were like, I'm here to kill, and that's what's happening today. But the disproportionate number of, it was like 3 dudes did 90% of the killing. It's like Pareto's principle, where like 20% of your, like 5% of your employees are the ones that produce 80% of your profit, and 5% of your
5%.
and 5% of your employees create 80% of your problems.
Right.
It's that weird Pareto's principle. And so.
So did you and the neighbor become BFFs?
No, we never spoke again.
That's right for the best.
He was moving in.
Did the guy come back with the truck?
Oh yeah.
I heard this guy who negotiates kidnap. Like when you get kidnapped overseas, they have insurance companies have these mercenaries that they will go to these people, and you can hire people who are like ex-SEALs and stuff.
Like State Farm Insurance has this?
From what I understand, they have services where they will outsource getting you back. And if there's a ransom, there's always a ransom, and they will do the negotiating. They will go get them, and sometimes they will kill, or they will get you out of there by any means necessary. So you get these crack teams, and this woman, her husband was really wealthy. He got kidnapped, and she found out through the course of looking at the investigation and what they were going to do that this guy was having a major affair.
Oh boy!
And he was in the house with a woman who had also been kidnapped.
Very effective money laundering.
So she lost her
Send $5 million.
Yeah, and so when they called for the ransom, she was so angry. She goes, "Fuck you! Kill him! Kill that cheating piece of shit motherfucker!" And just hung the phone up. And the guys, some of them were freaking out, but the guys who were experienced went, "That's the best start out of a negotiation you can imagine." Because now that guy doesn't mean shit to you. And now we can start at a very low fucking price. And they got him at a very low price.
That's awesome.
The truck, I didn't end up selling it. I do remember that the recycler would come out on Thursday mornings. That's the newspaper. You had to put free newspaper. I think the ad was free, but paper cost 75 cents or whatever it is. They would drop Thursday mornings. So if you needed a refrigerator or a pickup truck, you better be at the 7-Eleven at 7 in the morning on Thursday, because you'd call people and they're like, "I already sold. There's a guy looking at it," or whatever. You'd get it Thursday morning. You would, however, get calls Wednesday night at 10 o'clock at night. More Armenian accent. That dude who runs the used car lot in North Hollywood on Lancashire knows a dude who works at the recycler where they're printing the shit on Wednesday night. He would get that shit. And so when your phone rang Wednesday night with the Armenian accent, now he would say, "It is for my daughter. She goes to college. It needs to be reliable." But it's no. If you got the Wednesday night Armenian accent,
he wants to buy it and resell it.
Right. So he's going to get you Wednesday night. He's going to show up Thursday morning. He's going to beat the shit out of it. He's going to get it for $500 less than you want, and it's going to be on his lot on Lancashire that afternoon. And he's going to want $2,300 for it.
Genius.
Yes.
Genius.
Yeah.
That's finding money in the cracks, man. That's those gray spaces that none of us think about unless you grow up learning how to do stuff like that. That's how you eke out an existence. If you're Armenian, it's like, if you're Armenian, you've been through some shit. Like, just forget the genocide, but you were always, right now they're going through it with Azerbaijan. They've always been surrounded by people that essentially want to eradicate them. So most of the Armenian story is a diaspora. The Armenian story is we have to leave our homes and everything else and go anywhere they'll take us. That's why you see Armenians in Lebanon, in Iraq. They were everywhere, but they were also Christian. So they would have, and they were surrounded by Muslim countries, but actually they would find safe quarter in some of those parts.
It's strange that the Armenians and the Jews don't team up more.
But they're very similar.
Yeah.
They're very similar. So the Jews have a very similar story.
Yeah.
So one's just Christian, the other's Jewish.
Hang out with Mark Garagos enough, he's very Jewish.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Though this is the guy, the other Armenian guy was the guy that after I put on the aftermarket fender, we had one fender that was caved in. I bought the primered aftermarket one, and I didn't do a very good job. It didn't fit that well.
Yeah.
Big gaps.
Yeah.
He looked at it and he went, "Who put this fender on?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know." And he goes, "Whoever did it should have his hands cut off." I remember that. Then I began arguing for the guy who put the fender on, but not admitting it was me. I was like, "That's a little rough."
He tried his best.
These aftermarket fenders don't always have the fit and finish. No, this is horrible.
You should be dead.
We're not all body fender guys, all right? Some of us are carpenters.
Yeah. Dude, I'm the only guy you know who read the Old Testament twice. I read literally the Old Testament, which is the Jewish Bible, for lack of a Torah. And what's fascinating about that culture is that God basically at the end of Chronicles, the last book in the Jewish Bible, in Chronicles, God basically says, you Israelites essentially disappointed me, didn't do your job, didn't listen to me, wanted a king when all you had to do was follow. I gave you the laws, and you guys couldn't even follow that, worshiping false idols and everything else. I enslaved you. The whole last section of the Old Testament is basically God going, guys, you're fucking up again. Oh, cool. You're not going to listen to me? Cool. Hey, Persians, come down and enslave them and tear Jerusalem a new asshole. Thanks so much. And then 50 years later, they'd be like, you guys had enough? Okay, good. We'll bring them back.
Bring in the locusts and kill the firstborn son.
Then it'd be like famine. Yeah. One thing after another until it ends with basically God going, you guys, disappointed, fuck off. I'm not talking to you anymore. You go wander, just diaspora, get out of here. And by the way, I might leave the door a little open, but not now. But it might be a little check back in 2,000 years. I swear to God, that's the story. Wow.
I didn't learn that part in Hebrew
school. You should do a TED Talk.
Yeah,
man.
for real. You should have been my Sunday school teacher.
That's what's fascinating, though. And the characters are so fucking human in that Bible. They're the most flawed people in the world.
And this God is a vengeful God.
Oh, my God.
Very vengeful. Likes to smite and smote.
Smite and smote, and also would say, hey, Israelites, go kill all the people in Moab or in Baal.
Utah?
I mean, all those areas just around there. And then they wouldn't. They'd take some of the people back as slaves, and he'd be like, really? You didn't listen to me. Well, now I have to rain pestilence on you. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right. Well, let me transition because we've got so much more to talk
This is
to.
Bible study.
Listen, you're well read. What can I say? Right. Simply Safe. Nothing matters more than your safety and the safety of your loved ones, but old school home security companies use outdated technologies, overcharge you, and lock you into multi-year contracts. That's why I use Simply Safe. You peel and stick, no pulling wires, no drilling holes, no mess, sleek, ergonomically shaped, looked beautiful. Batteries last up to 10 years, 24/7 professional monitoring. Their agents dispatch police, first responders the moment a threat is detected. Even if you're not home or cannot be reached, customize the perfect system for you and your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/Adam. Save 20% when you sign up for interactive monitoring. When you get that plan, you get your first month for free. Visit simplysafe.com/Adam to learn more. There's no safe like Simply Safe. All right, quick break. Back with Bryan Callen right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. My dad died a few years ago, and I had to go home per bro code and throw away a bunch of nude pictures of him and a pocket pussy. So, mahalo?
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, thank God it was the pocket pussy. My dad's got the trailer mount, and that There's no way you can sneak that out past the neighbors.
No.
The pocket pussy is just that.
It's just that.
Put it in the racing form, tuck it under your arm, discreetly walk out to the recycling bin. But the trailer mount pussy,
good luck.
that's in the
trailer
driveway.
Yeah,
You have to do that in the cover of night.
That's right.
That's for real fucking.
Where do you guys come down on this? And tell me if you've experienced what I think is a scam, but I'm not sure. Now, I used to get takeout, and if I got takeout back in the day, I just wouldn't tip. But this was cash. This is 25 years ago. I'd just pick up the pizza
Right.
or the tacos, and I'd just leave. And then I had a girlfriend. It was a waitress. And dating waitresses sucks because they're A, poor, and then B, big tippers with your money. You know,
Yeah.
you got to tip. You got. It's like,
don't
honey,
know what
we
it's
don't
like.
have
50%,
We don't have money. We argued for 40 minutes of whether we could afford calamari or a glass of wine with this meal. And now you're like wanting me to go full Frank Sinatra on everyone, but yet you don't make any money. Your way. So she's like, oh yeah, when you do the takeout, you tip. And I'm like, okay, so like when I would go get the Chinese food, I'd give them $5 or something like that. But I went to pick up Thai food a couple of nights ago. It's about it was close to $80 worth of Thai food, and they do the thing where they give you the mobile scanner reader credit card, and punch it in. And it things 15%, 18%.
There's
20,
just one more thing you want to.
25.
And then there's a custom tip.
There's a button that said skip.
Oh boy,
So I hit skip
Larry David.
because this was literally me just walking into the Thai food place and them handing me the bag. And I would have done here's $5. I didn't have any cash on me, but 15 or 20% seemed like a lot considering I was just walking out with the stuff. So I hit skip, but nothing happened. So I hit skip again.
That button's broken.
And nothing happened. So I pulled the credit card out and I like push it back in, hit skip, and then I said to the woman, who I think certain cultures rely on the language barrier, or at least they use it in their favor. I said, I don't think this thing's working. And she's like, you pick number, you have to pick, and I was like, skip. No, you have to pick. No, and I was like, okay, 50. I hit 15%. It's like, fuck it.
this way.
I'm leaving. And she got her, $10 or whatever it was on her. Is this intentional? Now you can't rig it. I bet
you can.
I think for
you
me,
you probably could. Like you have to have the option, but
That thing is highly advanced.
This-
I bet you can just go to the options and
this
say
place-
skip button doesn't work.
this place is in Malibu. It's got a bunch of just rich whitey in a hurry.
Oh, yeah.
And most stuff is, $45 to $110, and so it's going to cost you $6 or $11. I think most people would just kind of do the.
I do
move
that
on.
because I figure they're cooking the food. And also I always think about the fact that I'm very lucky that I don't have to do that.
But do you think it's a
For money.
scam in this? And have you ever experienced it?
So if
definitely-
it's a scam, it's a terrible scam because you're only making $8 a shot.
Oh, that adds up, man.
So for me, I'm always
I don't
like,
think it's a terrible scam.
I think it's a great scam.
but tipping is something that I would tip because the guys in the kitchen who are killing themselves trying to get this food out, if I'm going to give them an extra, $12, to me, I'm already saying to myself, that's a lot of work for just $12. And I know it adds up, but at the end of the day, it's expensive out there. Everything is expensive. And I'm spending that much money on food.
All right, you're a hero. But
not even
the
that.
question, Chris wrote kitchen guys don't get tips.
Well, I was
Well,
gonna
you
He's
tip
probably
the waitress
been there.
tips out
Yeah,
the
don't-
house.
Not
though.
never the kitchen though.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's like bar. It's like you tip out like the bartenders
Yeah, but
and
you
your food
worked
runners.
at like fancy places.
No, but this is every place.
Oh, really?
I've worked at cheap places too. What you're paying for is them packing it up for you and putting it together. So you're not paying for like the sit down service, but you're tipping because they packed it up for you and put the sauces and the utensils and all that
interesting.
stuff for you.
I would go for a 5, maybe a 10% or no problem.
A little thanks
but
very much.
it started at 15 and the other one was disabled. Now, I'm saying if they disable that, it's really hard to, like, they can act surprised, like, or you could make a thing out of it, but the thing flies in the face if you want to get the fuck out of there.
There's got to be listeners who work at or have a restaurant. I would love to hear from them maybe tomorrow, because I believe 100% this is a very clever scam. Might as well, you go right into the settings and you skip button disable. You know,
it's a little annoying when you're. I've seen in those custom tip. But that's a little annoying when they're giving you no other option for nothing. I'll tell you who tips like a motherfucker is. I was in Seattle with Rogan.
Please save me.
Yes, you. I'm in Seattle with Rogan, and we go to this coffee shop at the airport, and it's like this little tip jar, and we get a couple coffees. You know, he's like, "Going to coffee," and I watch him. He just kind of throws a bill into the tip jar, and he just goes, "Let's go," and he just goes. And I look back and it's $100.
Wow.
And I go to him, I said, did you just put $100 in there? And he goes, yeah. I call that a love bomb. It's nice. He goes, I call it a love bomb. I just give him $100 and get the fuck out of there.
Oh, I jerk off into the tip jar, and I call that. I told Joe I call that a love bomb. I wonder if he took that.
No,
from
he
me.
saw your cum in the cup, and he said, "This is going to double your fortunes, everybody." That's some Carolla cum.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that?
What a good guy.
I've seen him do he'll tip to the point where I remember we were eating, and he wrote an astronomical number. It was more than the check, and the guy goes, "Are you sure?"
That's always nice.
He goes,
"Are you sure?"
Yeah. And then I said, "That's a lot of money." He goes, "Yeah, but he has to do that right now, and I get to do this."
And then Bryan Callen comes on the show, and we all know what a great guy Joe Rogan
There
is.
it
That's
is.
what you count on.
He'd probably be mad at me for telling the story, actually, but
Well, I've got into it with my friend Danny Two Sheets, Daniel Kellison of The Man Show and Crank Anchors and everything. Once he told me many years ago when we were in New York, he's like, "You got to tip big." And then he said, I said, "Why?" And he said, "You don't want word to get out that you're a bad tipper." And I said, "Oh yeah, I do." I'd rent out a billboard, but I'm too cheap. I do, because I feel like if Frank Sinatra gave anyone less than $100, people were devastated because the bar was
you more money.
Yeah. Now when Rogan goes to the Starbucks at Burbank, the guy's going to be devastated if he just slipped 20 in there.
Kevin Hart's another one though.
Oh, is he?
Kevin Hart, man. I was in. We were hanging out.
To be fair, these are both guys who make hundreds of millions of dollars.
They were always that way.
If they were always that way,
Rogan was always that way.
If they're always that way, then God bless them.
He spent crazy money. He was always that way. He was like, I'll just make more money. It was because he didn't grow up with any money. And Kevin Hart's the same way. Kevin, we were at Montreal behind this, with all this waitress. This poor waitress is running back and forth and just, getting drinks and stuff. And Kevin, he'll probably get mad at me for this, but I just saw him take $300, 300 crisp dollar bills, and really quietly, he just kind of walked up to her, so nobody could see, and kind of folded it into her hand. He goes, "Thank you very much. You're doing an amazing job." I was like, "You're the nicest fucking guy in the world."
I love
He's
that.
the best guy in the world.
It's I don't know him. I marvel at his motor. I marvel at that guy and what you can get done.
It's because he's always having fun. It's because he's a silly goose. So as long he's always laughing and always looking to be silly. He's
kind of the American dream to me, in that this is what you can do with a motor in this country.
Yes.
If you aren't scared of work and you're not scared of putting in some weekends and some holidays, you can do what he does. He has ability, but his greatest gift is his motivation. It's just his crazy motor.
Yes.
Well, that's why it's fun to see him and Dwayne Johnson do stuff together, because not only aesthetically is it fun, but they seem to share that.
Yeah, I think that they're both one and the same, and that's what you can do if you have that mindset and that motor in this country at this time.
Right.
I have a different thought on The Rock, who I'm a big fan of. But with Kevin, I get it, because the challenge of being funny all the time never goes away, right? So now I drop my special. I have to come up with a whole new act, which is a nightmare. you've been there. And so now that challenge is exhilarating, but also it's just
daunting.
it's daunting. Am I ever going to be funny again? But guys like The Rock and Tom Cruise, I'm always fascinated with them, because they're on a movie set doing in many ways a very similar character or the same character over and over again. And if you've ever been on a movie set, it's the death of fun. You're shooting 1 page a day. The amount of repetition, it's not even acting. It just becomes this weird thing where you're pulling a gun out, jumping up, shooting, cut. We got to get it from this angle. Got the crane shot. You're there for 3 hours doing the same thing.
It's always turn it around.
Yeah.
We're turning it around.
Yes.
Right.
I've never understood. I don't know how or what is actually driving you to be that big, that muscular, constantly training, constantly doing everything. I don't know. I guess maybe there's its own challenge, but damn, I'd be bored. I couldn't do it. I mean, you got so much money, so it can't be the money. It can't be the attention, unless he wants to be president of the United States and stay relevant until he runs.
I think there's, I always say it, like no matter how much money somebody has, when they're offered $5 million to do a half-day shoot for Smart Water, it's not even about the money. It's just about, here's how I grew up.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get Levi's. We had to get Toughskins, and we couldn't get a Schwinn. We had to get a Huffy. Yep. And we couldn't go to Broadway. We had to go to Sears, or I didn't mean the Broadway.
I couldn't wait for the
lights of the Broadway. I mean, the department store Broadway was like too expensive. We had to go to Sears, Now all of a sudden someone wants to pay $5 million for half a day's work. And
you got to do it.
You do, although they're guys like Jon Stewart, where like someone will go, I will give you $1 million to come to my birthday party and do 15 minutes of stand-up. And he's like, nah.
Springsteen says one of his favorite pastimes is to sit around and calculate the amount of money he would have made if he had ever done even one commercial. Wow. He says no to literally everything.
Well, he should have kept
Jeep
that.
Commercial.
He did the Jeep commercial, and he got fucking torn apart.
Oh my God!
The whole theme of it was meet in the middle.
But this
it was
was
the
like
middle of the country.
Last
year, it was Super Bowl.
A couple years ago.
And everyone's like, "Fuck you! I'm on the right. Fuck you! I'm on the left."
That was his first.
And it did not go well.
Yeah, that whole right-left thing is interesting.
Well, the only thing that those people can agree on is they both hated Bruce Springsteen for saying you should come to the middle. It was amazing.
But the corporate, you call it corporate gigs, but the amount of bar mitzvahs and birthdays and my sons, getting married, and that the amount those guys could make from doing those gigs. Which is it's also kind of it's an interesting mindset, which is I've done that where it's like my husband's a massive fan and he loves the podcast and he's turning 50 and, we live in Orange County. Could you come by? We'll pay you to do 20 minutes or roast him or whatever. It's weird. I don't look at it as a sellout. Like I look at it as like Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I get paid. Like and then you go, these same guys would happily here's a thought. So like Bruce Springsteen plays, big events, but big arenas and stuff, but. Once in a while, they'll pop up at the Whiskey or McCabe's guitar store in Santa Monica.
The new one is Pappy and Harriet's in the desert.
Yeah, there's 40 people in the car, and we hail them as heroes for doing that. Well, what's the difference between the 40 fucks at McCabe's and the 40 fucks in the back of the guy's house in Orange County?
A lot of people, what you don't realize, a lot of famous musicians and people like that make a fortune moonlighting. So I know 2 musicians, one of whom I remember I knew very well, and she was offered. They paid her $500,000 They flew her privately to a house to go into the living room, sing 4 songs for $500,000 for the family and their friends, and then leave. Oh my God. I know another musician who had a similar offer. That was $1 million to come on the boat of some Arabic guy, some sheik, and to sing, 8 songs. They negotiated, and it was $1 million. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. How about a little stand-up? Anybody? $1 million?
Well, you've done that in people's houses before.
Yeah. Well, first off, first thing I am is sort of flattered that somebody wants to pay me $10,000 to go to their because their husband's a huge fan or whatever that is. But I don't know why it's kind of foreboding, like by the, it's considered selling out or whatever. But
until there's a number you can't say no to. It's like my joke about when you could you lost a loved one in a plane crash. It'd be horrible and you'd be so sad, but the airline, would owe you a lot of money. There's a number, there's a check. There is a number on that check that you'd be very, very sad. But if you were attached to a happiness meter, when you first see the check, you're allowed to have some activity on the needle.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
sure.
It may not buy you happiness, but it buys you a different kind of sad. Is that fair?
A little less
sad. In a one bedroom when you got to take the bus is not the same as sad on a yacht in Ibiza. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, speaking of sad, in Bryan's stand-up special, he's telling a story about guys and guys not crying, and tells the story of a fan who was blind, who was waiting for him after the show, in the line to be received, and told the story. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, well, I realized that when I always talk about how women in this, even with gender parity, they're just allowed to cry. Mm-hmm. You guys can cry over anything or even nothing. You get a lot of support. Your friends form an estrogen circle around you. It's all that. But men, we feel the same thing, but we can't cry because, well, it's just men are too competitive and it's just, impossible. So we either turn it to rage or we have humor. And I'm doing stand-up, and there's a young dude in my front row who's laughing like over that way, like in the opposite. I didn't know what was going on. Turns out he was blind. And I'm doing this meet and greet afterwards, shake hands, take pictures, and everybody's like 50 people. And he comes up, and there are 50 people. They can all hear it and everything else, and we're talking. And he, with his mother, he goes, "You're the reason I'm here." And I went, "Thank you, brother. I appreciate it." And he goes, "No, man, you're the reason I'm still here. Because when I lost my sight, I was going to check out. But your comedy and your podcast kept me going, so I wanted to come and thank you." And I was like, I literally was like, I'm going to cry right now. You know that? You're like, like I got that lump. I was like, I'm going to lose it right here. And I realized that I couldn't turn it to rage, right? The joke is I couldn't punch him in the face. He'd never see it coming. But I ended up making a joke. I made a blind joke because I'd rather insult a blind man than cry in public. That's how fucked up I am. That's where I started writing all this stuff because I made a joke. I go, "Dude, you're blind and you took up a front row seat. How selfish can you be, bro?" And he started laughing. I go, "Sit in the back next time." His mother was like, "Fuck you." But that was when I realized I did that. And by the way, he laughed at my jokes, but it was great. And we talked for a while after that. But I thought to myself, how sick am I? But that's kind of what got me to write this whole special. That was the impetus where I said, this is a fascinating thing that I have somehow ingested. I have somehow taken on this persona that is actually antithetical to how I really feel. But as a man, you got to pretend all the time that today's a good day to die and I got all the answers. Am I wrong? Every day.
I was actually thinking about it because I was interviewing a therapist. Was it John Lee, I think I was just speaking to for Take a Knee podcast. And he was sitting here. Oh, sorry, John Kim, sorry. And he was sitting here and he's going, I grew up in the Valley and I used to listen to Loveline and I would sit in my car and I had a tough childhood and you really got me through this, that, and the other. And I said, yeah, I've heard that a lot because that's how Loveline was. And then I was thinking, I just got done watching your special, but I realized it doesn't mean anything to me. I just go, yeah, it's my job.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I was paid to do, but thanks. And I never say that doesn't mean anything to me, but it doesn't mean anything to me. And then I think, you think your wiring's fucked up. My wiring is that wasn't me. Or go thank somebody else.
You mean that's a character or what?
It doesn't feel like anything. They go, I listened to, you got me through, and I'm always like, yeah, okay, here we go.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I told you my neighbor found out I was doing Carolla because I kind of was talking to my fiance. I go, yeah, I got to do Fighter and a Kid, and then I have Carolla. And he goes, you're doing Adam Carolla?
Means nothing to me.
And I said, I know, nothing. You feel nothing. I go, yeah. He goes, dude, I grew up on that guy. That guy's my favorite. And he was like looking at me like I was Elvis. You want to know what you looked like, what you were like in person? I go, he's exactly the same guy.
It doesn't even feel like I was the one who was dispatching the advice that they listened to in the driveway 23 years ago. That's the other thing. There's
no connection to that.
I'm detached from
But you're
it
a savant.
completely.
You're a savant.
Well-
Because you always can talk about something. It's actually astonishing.
Well, I love that compliment from you, but we won't indulge you or me.
He's the best.
But on the bigger news, there's an update that Dawson has of Zamfir.
Oh, Zamfir, the pan flutist?
The pan
flautist?
flutist.
Hold on, I don't know who Zamfir is.
We might have to play a clip of
We're going to have to
Zamfir.
roll a commercial because I grew up watching the master of the pan flute, which was Zamfir.
Is that all the flutes lined up like they're glued together like bamboo?
Yeah, it kind of look like pipe organs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dawson. Good
now,
stuff.
by the way,
genius. That's genius.
Remember, Bryan Callen, that when he requested a new trumpet from me,
you bought him one.
I bought him one off of Chris's suggestion. We just met that guy, ran into that guy the other week, right?
God, that's so funny.
Bought him a $1,800 trumpet, and he's like, I need the $3,500 trumpet.
Is that true?
Yes.
Dad, you're not that talented. You don't have it, kid.
Yeah.
Somebody never told him that.
No.
But he told Adam.
But and I would argue if you're good, you can get by with the $1,800.
Yeah. Does he believe he has $3,500 worth of talent?
He believes he has $1,700 worth of talent because that's what is between the $3,500 one and the $1,800 one.
Why is the shoddy carpenter blaming his tools?
I do not. I think it was
metaphor.
I think it was symbolic, or
Yeah.
something. But he did not want that $1,800 trumpet.
I did a musical when I was 23. My Sicilian grandfather from Brooklyn, never pulled punches. And he pulled me aside. I'm not kidding. And he said, listen to me. Do you notice how people were up there? They were laughing. They were engaged with you. I said, yeah. He goes, it's because you're funny. You can't sing. You're never going to be anybody as a singer. You'll be a mediocre guy. So if you want obscurity, you keep singing. But you had people laughing. So that's all I'm going to say to you. Focus on being a jackass. That's what you do. You make us laugh at the table, but you're never going to be a singer. I never forgot that. And I learned. He clipped my wings as well he should have.
Yeah.
And as a result, I don't have. I'm not here to sing.
No,
your
my
song.
grandfather.
I can't accompany Zamfir.
I got the same thing. You can't sing, and Bryan Callen's funny.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Weird that he knew who that
where's that
was.
leave me?
That's
He's
what
like,
happens.
I don't know.
Because I did a lot of private shows in his living room, but he paid me well. And the price was right. Before I got really famous, I was willing to do those private shows.
Had you heard of Zamfir?
Never, but in my next special, I know now I have 20 minutes to dedicate to Zamfir.
20 million records sold worldwide.
Wow. Keep the money.
120 million.
Oh, was it 120
I'm looking at it right here.
Oh, well. This commercial's from the 80s, so he sold a few units.
This is from 2006.
Yeah, but see, I used to watch those commercials for K-tel. K-tel. Yeah, K-tel. And they do all the things, and they do weird. They go, Conway Twitty has sold more records than the Beatles and stuff, and all you could do is go, who cares? You couldn't pick up your phone and go, I'm going to check this shit, or I'm going to the local North Hollywood library and crunching some numbers.
I'll get back. Claims.
Yeah, I never knew if they were lying or not. It didn't seem. Everyone I knew had a Beatles record. Nobody I knew had a Conway Twitty record. So I was loosely basing it on my own experience.
Told you. If you said Conway Twitty, I would have been like, was he a preacher? Like, I don't even know the Beatles, obviously, but Conway Twitty. Weird name.
Yeah. Well, I'll buy you a little time, Chris. But see if you can find one of those old Kate. Let's see.
They used to run the hell out of the Conway
Who's your
Twitty
favorite
one.
front man of all time?
Oh, front man.
Yeah.
Geez, I've never thought about it that way.
Who's the greatest front man? Would you say?
Oh, well, let's see. Let's narrow it down. Like, see them in their prime at the height of their powers.
Yes. You got David Lee Roth. You got Freddie Mercury. You got Robert Plant.
Yeah, I was just David Lee Roth popped in my head. I'm not a massitive Van Halen fan, not a
Diamond
massive
Dave.
Diamond Dave fan, but
respect that.
doing the splits
Yeah,
and just
I've seen it.
wearing it.
fucking awesome.
I think if it's just one moment from 1983, maybe I'd do that.
Maybe.
Or Freddie Mercury's right up there.
Freddie Mercury.
You might think I would say Liam Gallagher, but I'm going to go with Axl Rose.
Oh, sure.
Axl Rose didn't put out enough for a long enough time.
I agree, but
And
just
he was
the
also-
But it's still one night.
But
Height
if
of the
you
Powers.
say Axl Rose, you got to say Robert Plant. His biggest influence was Robert Plant. All those guys with long blonde hair were singing like Plant, but they couldn't. So you got to go Plant, don't you? If you
These are all great.
Vince
Pick
Neil,
one.
all those guys they came from Plant's rib.
How many records does Conway Twitty sell? All right, we'll find the K-tel commercial.
They used to play that when I was a kid. I know
I
it
used to
exists.
do. There was Smokey Robinson. I like the Smokey Robinson one.
There's the Four Tops. There's Henry Mancini.
Yes,
I did one of those commercials for Time Life Music. That was the first music. It was my first professional acting gig.
Were you like one of the?
Yep.
Like walking on the beach with a lady and like clinking
No,
glasses?
I was the one who they just interviewed, and I was like, it's just authentically American.
Oh yeah.
I
You
think
were
it
a
was
man
for-
on the street.
It was for country music. I had never listened to one country song in my life. I was
You didn't
like,
know
it's
the
just
fuck
authentically
Conway
American.
Twitty was until 10 seconds
No
ago.
fucking idea.
That's great.
They would they do that thing where it'd go. They'd cut away to the guy, and he'd go, "I'm listening." My mom would say, "Turn it down," and I'd say, "But mom, it's Smokey." And then they cut to the next
was
person.
me.
My mama told me you better shop her. And then
around.
they cut to the next vignette.
Yes.
You were one of those
I
vignettes.
sure was.
Wow.
I sure was.
So they cooked those?
And I said, the guy, I remember the guy goes, I believe you. That's what's good. I
And
was like,
that was for a country compilation.
it was for Time Life Records or something. Remember when they would sell you the oldies but goodies, and you could get like a subscription plan? And I was
Yeah.
one of the guys. Wow. It was like, guys, country music is amazing. You know, whatever. They give me the line. I was just like, well, here goes my acting job.
Well, Chris can look around for that. I'll tell you guys about Dave. We've all been tight on cash unexpectedly. Yeah, I think that's the time we're living in now. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck or struggling to make ends meet, unexpected expenses can really be stressful. Dave can help. Dave's a banking app that help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. That's money to fill your tank, money for a wedding gift, catch up on bills, whatever you need it for. No interest and no credit check needed. Millions have already downloaded the Dave app to get financial relief with extra cash. If you're in a pinch and you need some extra help, download Dave. It's a helping hand from future you. It's Dave, right, Dawson?
Download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer, please apply. Banking provided by Evolve. Member FDIC. Future you will thank you.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Got some more clips to play with Bryan Callen right after this. A very funny special, Man Tears, available on YouTube. And we've got our K-tel commercial. Yes. And then I'll get into Chick Think and Dude Think, because I got a pretty glaring example example of it. What K-tel one? Is this Smokey?
No. I mean, somebody put like 32 minutes of K-tel commercials in one video, so I just picked one.
All right. That last game of the season song was that super depressing song about the kid whose father was blind.
Right.
And up in the stands.
And it gets worse.
And his son was a scrub on the football team, but finally got the start, rushed for 226 yards, but dad died.
Oh, no. What is that song?
We've chronicled that song on this show. It could be the most depressing song since
Cats in the Cradle is pretty depressing. That made me a better dad.
This is
That Run, Joey, Run?
No, same artist who sung Run, Joey, Run, sung that. And maybe not since Norm Macdonald and I broke down Ruby or Coward of the County. Has there been a more depressing song?
Well, I've brought this up before. You're absolutely right. The one that would have to take the silver, though, without question, is Dolly Parton's Me and Little Andy.
That's pretty sad, too.
Ain't you got no gingerbread? Ain't you got no candy?
The 70s, I don't know where Lil Ann...
Around then.
70s, our mission was to depress the shit out of the populace. Like, that was literally every commercial, every song was about some suicidal teen jumping off the Tallahatchie Bridge or some dad shooting some lover. Every TV special was about the same theme. Mm-hmm. Every image was an Indian crying and a lot of smokestacks, a lot of smoke billowing, lots of exhaust pipes, lots of trash.
Right.
I grew up seeing an endless array of polluted rivers. Every 70s thing was this garbage.
Every animal was about to be extinct. Every single animal.
Everything was just a fucking shit show.
Yes.
And I was depressed as shit in the 70s. I was like, oh my God.
Always.
We're going to be out of fuel. We're going to be living underground. This is going to be horrible.
We're still doing it.
David Geddes. Yeah, I know, but there's a slightly more glossier version we're doing.
Well, whenever they say
whatever we're trying to scare everyone.
Act now or the elephants will be gone tomorrow. Well, now we're all like, nah, somebody's got it.
Yeah.
The elephants are fine.
The blind man in the bleachers.
Oh, well, that's telling.
Yeah, the dad. All right, so Chick Think and still look for Smokey. I don't know why that K-tel one.
Right.
Or maybe it's on the master compilation.
You know what I did to a room full of car full of people? You know that Dolly Parton song, Jolene?
Of course.
That the White Stripes cover, which is amazing. And it's basically a woman begging another woman not to take her man.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got this in my head. Somebody told me that this was the story. Instead of so I had the whole car listening to Jack White sing that version. I said, this is Dolly Parton. She wrote it, and Jolene is actually her addiction to drugs, and she's begging her addiction not to take her man away because she can't compete with him. And everybody in the car was like, dude, this is such a deep song. It's a great song. Then I heard Dolly Parton say, no, it wasn't. I was at the bank with my husband, and there was this really hot girl,
She's the bank teller.
teller, and I was like, well, that's fucking, my story's way better.
Yours
my
is
story's
better.
way more romantic, and I'm going to believe that. So I had the whole car in tears. I was, anyway, maybe I made that up or I heard it. I don't know.
I like it, but yeah.
It's better.
All right, Chick Think, Dude Think. I've been really thinking about this a lot, and I realized that Chick Think has its place. It's good for many of life's tasks, but it's not good for big overall policies, and it's not when there's no competition. So California, LA, these are Chick Thinks. We're in Chick Think, and that's why we're falling into the ocean. So the policy's not good because it's like, oh, you should have compassion for the homeless guy. You should be able to, but it's really the hard dude think policy that
one is care and fair. And the other is other considerations.
Right. And then so how it ends up fucking things up is, in Europe, in Germany, they go, we shouldn't be relying on fossil fuels. We shouldn't be relying on nuclear power and fracking and everything out. Let's get green, renewable, windmills, solar, and blah, blah, blah. It's not advanced enough to keep up with the demand. Then the war breaks out. Then they have to beg Russia for oil so they can stay warm because the winter's coming. So it's this kind of this. We did it here. We were like energy independent. It was like no more pipelines. We're going to do windmills, and it's like that's it. Windmills, Chick Think, pipelines, Dude Think.
Nuclear energy.
Nuclear energy is for some reason turned into Chick Think.
Yeah.
It's Dude Think. It should be everyone think, but we're not down with that because we're thinking with our hearts and not our brains. And now we're fucked up too from an energy standpoint. So Chick Think gets you into trouble. Chick Think is good to balance out Dude Think. Dude Think is we're going to war. Chick Think is like maybe we can talk this out. But if it's all Chick Think, and if you go to like the Board of Supervisors in LA County, it's just a fucking huge cunt fest over there. And that's where shutdown for COVID comes in. Then you got Barbara Ferrer, and you literally have... Oh, God. Head of the CDC, Walensky. Rochelle Walensky. She's up there saying, as a mother, I have a bad feeling. All right, this is Chick Think. Yeah. You as a mom have a bad feeling about your 15-year-old who's on the fucking spectrum because her story was he crosses off every day to go to summer camp. And then on the very last day, I told him he couldn't go. He can't go outdoors to the... All right. She's fucking creating policy using mom chick think, and it fucks things up.
Well,
is
have
what
you
I'm
heard
saying.
the theory on that? So
No.
So why there's a very
Some
interesting-
estrogen, plastics, dudes
No.
turning into chicks.
No, that's
Go
not
ahead.
what it is. Why this guy, this scholar, floated this question. It's a controversial question. Why were most of the geniuses men? Well, so you've got Copernicus, Galileo, you've got Einstein, Shakespeare, Freud, Newton, Darwin. We can keep going. Even
The only ones allowed to read.
the great religious leaders, and people would chalk it up to impression, and women were kept down. That's just not the whole story, and that's a what's that binary issue? It's a multivariable problem. And what the theory that I thought made the most sense that was floated out there was that it's not that women are not as smart. It's that when a woman has a child, she has to look for every sharp object in the room. And she's got to imagine what else there could be that she can't see to keep that kid alive, because men are not going to do it. Men have a brain that can singularly focus on one thing. They can literally go, fuck the kids, everybody else. I'm going to come up with a theory of relativity. I'm going to paint the Sistine Chapel. I'm going to come up with fucking calculus, i.e. Newton, or whatever it is. That requires all of you and fuck everybody else, literally. If a woman does that, the child dies. We don't survive. So women have to be able to think about 15 different things at one time. There's no way to just focus your brain. We have evolved so that the species can survive, and women do have different brains for the most part. There's a lot of overlap, but if they didn't have different brains, if they weren't able to do that and multitask, we probably would most kids would probably not make it to puberty. And that's the most sort of like, I guess, comprehensive theory that made the most sense.
That makes
to me.
sense.
Of course it makes sense.
Now, here's the point. I don't want that gaggle of yentas making
not. Of
policy
course
for
not.
the city of Los Angeles, because that's what gets the beaches closed down.
What do you think? Silicon Valley was a boys' club. It was all dudes trying to make as much money as possible, competing and trying to kill each other, eat each other's liver. And you guess what? The fucking Apple and Microsoft and all the shit we use every single day, all that smart technology. Now California comes along and goes, now all those companies went public. They got a $95 billion tax surplus because all those companies went public and California made a load of money. But what did California do with all their fucking chick thing? They're pushing all those innovators the fuck out of the state. And
Right.
they're going to Texas and other places.
Right. All right. So
God.
a balance.
We're solving all
So
the problems.
women-
here.
Balance
bad,
is fine. Yes.
man
Well,
good.
policy. Look.
Mix.
Or look.
We need a mix.
Gavin
Balance.
Newsom thinks like a chick. I always say that. And then Marge Schott thinks like a dude, or
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher. There's plenty of dude think.
Sure.
You turn on Fox, you'll see a lot of chicks who think like dudes, and you turn on CNN, you'll see a lot of dudes who think like chicks. That's what you'll see. It can go. It's not all about the genitalia,
Right.
But if you get a group of moms together to figure out how we handle COVID, this is what we get. Shut the schools. That's shut the beaches. So there was a hearing that was going on, congressional hearing on oil companies and climate change, and I think it ran on Friday or something. But it was a great dude. It was a dude from Louisiana, Clay Higgins, and he was doing overtime dude think, and the chick Rhea Salter, I think it's pronounced, the founder of Energy Justice Law and Policy Center, she was full-time chick think. So we had the dude and the chick thinking. So the dude who we're going to hear was asking the chick, you want to get rid of oil, what do we replace it with, essentially?
Oh, let me hear this.
That's dude versus chick think.
What would you do with petrochemical products? Okay, everything you have, your clothes, your glasses, the car you got her on, your phone, the table you're sitting at, the chair, the carpet under your feet, everything you've got is petrochemical products. What would you do with that? Tell the world.
If I had that power in the world, actually, I don't need that power, because what I would do is ask you, sir, from Louisiana.
I'm giving you the
to
power. You're
to
presenting.
search
it's impossible
you,
with
sir,
your
from
positive.
Louisiana, to search your heart and understand why the EPA knows that toxic petrochemical facilities
My
are some of the
good
most
lady.
toxic,
I'm
polluting
trying to
facilities
give you
in
the
the
floor,
world
boo.
and are killing black people throughout Louisiana.
Okay,
so my
so
first
what
thing
will
would
you
to be
do with the
you to
products
search
that you
your heart
consume?
and ask your God what you are doing to the black
That's
and
our
poor
God. I
people
make no apologies
in
about that.
Louisiana.
You know,
that would be my first thing to
Let's
ask.
just have one at a
All right, so
Boy,
this
that's
is
not
chick
an answer
think
at
and
all.
dude think.
Who is
The
that?
dude's going, what are we going to do to power our
Who
cars
is
and
that
how are you
woman?
going to make shit? And she's like, search your heart, you're a bad guy.
Did he
And
call her
erase it.
boo?
Hey,
Called her boo.
Somebody look up. Watch this. So
Hold on, we
Switzerland-
got some more.
Oh, I want to hear this.
All right, but I'm saying this is chick think. She wants oil to go away. Fine. He wants to know how we're going to power ships,
your heart.
container ships.
Search your heart.
I'm going to search my heart.
Okay.
All right. It still can't power container ships.
Yeah.
All right. I think there's a little more.
Who
Maybe
was that woman? She's
Maybe
not-
there isn't. What do we got there, Maxwell?
What are you going to do with ocean-going vessels? What do you do with the maritime industry?
Well, we could, again, I would ask you to search your heart for what is happening on
You
the
have
coast
no answers
of
for this
Louisiana.
stuff.
Of course we
Like,
do.
you-
We
you
need to
just
move
stand on
away
this
from
grandiose
petrochemicals.
statement.
We need to shut down the petrochemical facilities in your state and move
The
away
world
from
won't run.
plastic.
And move
we
towards
need to
what?
move
The world
away
won't
from
function.
it.
You
And
couldn't
there
be
are
here. It's insane.
It is-
What would you do with the aviation
only
industry?
thing that would not function is the petrochemical industry in your state, sir.
Boy, poor thing. She's not
do
very.
you,
right.
do you care?
This is 100% dude think, 100% chick think. She's how are we going to propel airplanes and
Well, she
ships?
sounds-
She has an answer,
Yeah.
but she's not going to give it up.
It's in your heart. It's not in me. It's in your heart.
That's chick think 1,000. Okay, now here's the deal. If she gets hold of policy, then we're fucked.
Who
That's
is
what
that?
I'm saying.
Who is that woman?
It's
Ms.
environmental lawyer, whatever. Then AOC rang in. This is awesome.
I gotta see this.
Because AOC could be the chickiest of all chick things because
Yeah.
she doesn't. Now, what you need to do at this point is you go, look, there's a lot of technology out there. There's renewable, whatever. Europeans, certain nations have
here's the
ships
plan.
that can be whatever. I say this all the time. The amount of diesel fuel it would take to get an aircraft carrier to circumnavigate the globe is into the millions of barrels, but they're nuclear. So they have a fucking thing the size of a tennis ball that fire. And so steam comes out of the smokestack.
Yeah, water.
Can't we take that onto land, you crazy bitches?
Yes.
Like, can't we just go, would you like this vessel to burn millions of gallons of crude oil or have steam come out?
There's a picture on the net. on the
Jesus
internet.
Christ.
Yeah, there's a picture on the internet of Switzerland. 40 years of nuclear waste fits. 40 years of nuclear waste that powered the entire country fits on one basketball court. One basketball court. There's a picture on the internet.
Wow.
It's in tight drums. It's all the waste, and that's all the waste it created in 40 years. Yet we somehow still aren't doing nuclear power plants.
Because nutty dingbat broads like Jane Fonda
Correct.
said no nukes, and
Correct.
we bought into it.
Exactly.
All right, policy. Anyway, she's going to weigh in and talk about some of the technological advances that we could use to eliminate the oil
address,
companies.
Ms. Salter directly. I just want you to know that in the 4 years that I've sat on this committee, I have never seen members of Congress, Republican or Democrat, disrespect a witness in the way that I have seen them disrespect you today. I do not care what party they are in. I've never seen anything like that. And for the gentleman of Louisiana and the comfort that he felt in yelling at you like that, there's more than one way to get a point across. And frankly, men who treat women like that in public, I fear how they treat them in private.
It's a wife beater.
Wow.
All right, no solutions offered.
Where are
Just
those guys who beat you up? Where are those guys to get the gentleman in Louisiana? Bring that picture up of that.
Just chick think versus dude think. So one chick's got no answers, and the other one doesn't like the tone of the one who wants the answers.
Adam, look
That's
at that.
it?
45
That's-
years of Swiss nuclear waste right
That's
there.
not a basketball court. That's a big bathroom.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's a guy standing there. So
he's dwarfed by the.
Oh, that's him.
Still.
Yeah, I know. But see, if you talk to anybody that who doesn't like it, they go, "Where are you going to store that?" Listen to me, everyone. Nothing is free. Energy is not free. It's not free. It involves digging holes in the ground, putting up dams, burning coal, fracking, finding coal. There is no free part. There's just pulling up precious metals, getting precious metals from China and building solar panels. Nothing is free. This is the best alternative, given nothing is free. We try to go, well, which one puts giant mines and pits in the earth and things like that. So the point is this is the best we got right now. That's all. That's all. It's pretty good. It could be better because we stopped developing it, but it's what we got now.
I think you're absolutely right. I don't even think there's anything to debate about that. The only thing that comes up to my mind, because it's just been on my mind for so long now, is wouldn't you consider a lot of the dudes behind overturning Roe chick think, ironically? Like all of a sudden it's God and the Bible and fairy tales, and God didn't like it, and the things that were in place between the doctor and this woman and the laws protecting people and their own bodies.
It feels consistent with dudes.
Really?
Telling people what to do. You know?
That I agree with.
That's a weird thing.
It feels chick think to go, I don't know, it's icky. I don't like it.
I don't know what percentage can be chalked up to their religion, though.
Well, I'm just basing that off of
everything's out the window with religion.
Well, they're strict constitutionalists, right? So meaning the Constitution's a dead document, not a living document, meaning it's not up for you to interpret it. So they as far as they were concerned, because they're majority conservative and they're strict constitutionalists, I believe the idea was this is not a constitutional issue, it's a state issue. So so they overturned it on those grounds. I'm not saying their Christian beliefs didn't play a huge factor, because this was precedent.
And that's what everyone. No, you're absolutely right, and that's what everybody's been saying: states' rights. But then you have Lindsey Graham.
But here's the thing, which is chick think, is taking this and or trans rights or gay rights or something. It's just a pecking order. It's like energies first, security, armies, in terms of nation,
totally agree.
Border security, economy, infrastructure, like they keep going. And then if we show some humanity and some compassion, we should definitely be with gay rights and the unborn. Although this one is tricky because you're talking about an unborn human being versus... I don't take the moral high ground on going, these kids should be aborted, because you're ending the life of someone. I'm not religious, but I don't take a high ground about it.
What bugs me though about the ones who are saying all human life is sacred is the loudest voice is like, you care about the unborn, and I understand and respect that. But if you care that much about the unborn, how much do you care about the born? There are a lot of kids in foster care.
500,000.
So is your fucking house an orphanage? So when you turn
I like
at least
less people. Don't get me wrong. Fucking sit on the freeway.
That's what I've said to people on Twitter when they say, I go, how many can we put you down for? How many foster kids can we put you down for?
What I'm saying is I think a lot of these social issues that chicks bump up to the top of the most important platform, I don't put them at the top of the, trans rights is good to have, but I don't I don't have it above energy.
I agree.
And so the dudes fuck up on the lower, what I consider the lower social stuff, but they're better on the borders and the wars or the military and the whatever. And as a straight dude, I know my bread's butter. All right, let me tell you about Tommy John, which I'm wearing right now, and I got to tell you, it's the best. You won't go back. I have a bargain brand pair, sort of Tommy Johnny kind of midway knockoff in my drawer, and I made the mistake of wearing them.
Johnny Toms?
Yeah, I got Johnny Toms, and it was not comfortable. I really had to reach down and adjust myself on multiple times that day. So
You're working with
get
a
the
piece.
Tommy John. Yeah. Lightweight fabric, 4 times the stretch of competing brands, no wedgie guarantee, non-rolling waistbands, legs that never ride up, horizontal quick draw, fly, hammock pouch, support, stops the awkward, swing and the slap. Tommy John, they don't have customers. They have fanatics. Over 17 million pairs sold. Best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guarantee. Right, Dawson?
Go to TommyJohn.com/Adam right now for 20% off your first order. 20% off at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
By the way, fuck AOC, but are you just allowed to call, if there's a dude who disagrees with a chick,
Yeah, you call her-
he's
call him
just
a
saying,
wife
you said
beater.
wife beater?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's it? You're comfortable
was
with, you're
implied.
comfortable in that world.
She's concerned with his tone,
Right.
not the substance of what he's saying.
Right.
I've had plenty of those arguments.
And if this is how he treats her in public, then what happens when the doors close? Which is,
That's her. That's
someone
her
needs
MO.
to tell that fucking cunt to shut up. She's insane. You can't just call everyone racist. But he's literally, she's saying he puts his hands on his
but
wife.
she's run out of when you don't.
She's run out of arguments.
She doesn't have a good idea. She can't beat anybody's idea. So what she has to do is revert to insults.
Why doesn't it wear the fuck out? I mean, why is it her calling everyone racist or misogynistic all the time? Like, who the fuck is listening?
I think it has.
Okay.
And there's a reason that you have a big audience and Rogan has a big audience. And look, there's a...
Not because of our tipping.
No, it's not because you're...
Because there's a wild variation.
There is wild variation. But I think that it's ushered in a smart backlash or a rebuttal, and people are making a lot of money on the rebuttal. So I think the problem with people like OAC who are this obsessed with care and fair is that you can't apply this shit at the level of detail. That petrochemical example is a classic one. It's like, I get it, dude. We all want a cleaner environment. I get that fossil fuels need to be phased out eventually, but just keep in mind, you and me and all of us are addicts. We say whatever you want, but everything, the underpinning of our entire existence is petrochemicals. And there's a lot of good. And a lot of times in life, it's not good guy, bad guy. It's a trade-off. It's just a trade-off. There's a mountain of diapers. There is a mountain the size of Everest of diapers. There is a price to civilization. And until we figure out, and we are very quickly, how to take all that waste and create regenerative fuels and things, that's where we're at.
Brian?
Credit where it's due, though. I mean, the racial angle is right there. Teed up, white guy, black girl, she getting on there. She pivoted to domestic violence, which I think shows a little bit of growth.
Shows some growth.
She's a good fighter. She's good at ad hominem attacks.
Yes. All right. God, it's so destructive and shitty. But anyway.
Well,
all right.
wait, sorry, because I know we're talking about this with Karen Bass. Did you see that? Because I don't have it in the news.
I didn't see her.
I just have to throw this in because we're talking, Brian, you're saying like you have to, I think you're saying you have to talk to these people like they're kids and be like, here's how it affects you. Yeah. I know that this is about everyone else. This is how it affects you.
Karen Bass running for mayor of Los Angeles.
Karen Bass
got a nice lead, I think.
Yes, she was robbed. Mm-hmm. She had guns, by the way, taken from her house.
Right.
Which, point one. Point two, from all the years of saying, I feel safe in LA. I'm safe. I hear there are people that aren't. That's very sad. She says, I no longer feel safe in Los Angeles. So now that she doesn't feel safe, we're all on the same page.
And she's also been a big advocate against guns. So now we got a couple of her guns floating around in society. She had lots of footage of her talking about how bad guns were and why we needed them. Now her guns are floating around.
And she is not safe.
And she's got a big lead.
She did.
She had, which is dude think, chick think. And LA, please get over your fucking self. Like, it's like, we're going to have the first female black, just get someone competent in there.
Exactly.
I was Tom Bradley in 1972 was a black mayor of Los Angeles. We had a black mayor of Los Angeles named Tom Bradley. There's a fucking international airport named after him. By all accounts, he was a good mayor. And that was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So we've got it. We can do this. We did it 50 years ago. And by the way, stop moving the goalposts. Like, are you ready for the first black mayor? Oh, how about black female? Oh, how about transgender? It's like, no, we elected a black mayor. We like Tom Bradley. That was 50 years ago. Yeah. We're good. Yeah. Now, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Let's go for competent this time around. We got Kamala Harris. We got them all. Yeah. Now, I got a strange new brew politically. Competent. How about we go for competent this one time versus the first, whatever the fuck it is.
Angelinos deserve what they get.
Anyone who's on that fucking city council is off for me. It's like, I don't want anyone who's had any experience running this fucking city into the ground.
I got no experience. You're in.
You're in. All right. Let's see. 3 weeks ago, LA Times reported Bass had a 43-31, so a 12-point advantage over Caruso, who build shit, so that's the problem. But let him come. Let a guy with a plan. All right, let's take a quick break. Come back to the news right after this.
Well, we're talking about controversial things, so let's stay on that note. Woody Allen, his next movie will be his last, apparently. The 86-year-old has announced his retirement from filmmaking. He tells a Spanish newspaper, La Vanguardia, that he'll focus on writing after his upcoming movie, Wasp 22. Allen, who says his next project will be a novel, recently told Alec Baldwin over their Instagram Live in June that the thrill is gone. The thrill of movie making is gone when it comes to all the things that go into it. Allen's career, of course, sidelined in recent years with allegations of him sexually abusing his adopted daughter, Dylan Farrow, that resurfaced. And he's been on the outs with most of Hollywood.
I don't think marrying his adopted daughter
didn't help.
Apparently, he didn't meet her until she was an adult. And a guy named Alistair Bostwick, who's a reporter for Verizon, did a YouTube thing looking at the actual transcripts. Woo! This guy, 2 investigations.
For Verizon?
2 investigations. He also worked for BuzzFeed and everything. 2 investigations on Woody Allen, found nothing. The only accusation was of Dylan Farrow saying at 7 years old this happened to her. Her mother, who adopted, I think, 11 kids, 3 of those kids have committed suicide. Another kid is accused her.
I still wish she adopted me instead of my parents. Well, I would have rolled the dice with the suicide.
But they said, the offer was give us $8 million, and Alan Dershowitz was the lawyer on this. They came to Woody Allen's team and said, give us $8 million and we'll go away. So I'm sorry, but if Mia Farrow's daughter was molested, she was willing to take $8 million in hush money, and that's a court transcript. You can see it. Alistair Bostwick holds it up on his YouTube thing, and she was willing, and Woody Allen said, go fuck yourself. So when I see that stuff, I go, boy, oh boy, when you watch this, and I'm talking about when he looks at the actual court transcripts, I got serious skeptical hippo eyes. You know hippos that are looking at you like that? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, man. I
Peeking
think
out of the
full
water.
Of shit. I think that was a terribly ugly divorce, and she decided to fucking
I think Mia Farrow's pretty crazy.
Yes.
And I agree with a lot of what you said. But I didn't know the part where he didn't meet his
Sun Yi.
He did not meet her apparently until
something
she was,
else in the doc. He did not meet her until she was 18?
Way older. I think older than that. Yeah.
Oh, that we got to look up because I thought she came on when he was...
No, everybody thought, well, they knew each other when they were 14, 13.
But what about the nude pictures of her?
I have no idea.
As well. See, the problem with this one is there's a lot of cooking that goes on, and we've all learned from...
Child molesters have a long history. And this was one accusation.
That's a good point.
That's right.
Our first interaction with Alan took place when she was injured playing soccer in the 11th grade.
All right, well, that's a little creepy.
16, 17.
Well, all right.
Well, I think they met then, right? Like,
look, here's the problem with this one, I think. No, there's a very good point, which is if this is your thing, it's your thing. There should be people scattered about historically. Other people should come forward. You know, we've all learned from Epstein and Weinstein and all the Steens.
Oh, boy.
That...
God damn it.
That if this is your fucking thing, this is your thing, and time passes and you leave, you litter the highway with these victims, you know. It is interesting to say, oh, he got onto this in his 50s or something like that, considering he had access to
and
lots of kids
2
and
investigations, and also, most importantly, I just think it's very interesting that he was offered $8 million to make it go away, and he said, go fuck yourself. But what's more interesting to me is that if you did that to my daughter, $8 million ain't shutting me up, motherfucker. I'm not gonna. I want you to rot in hell. I want you in jail. So if you had your team say, "Hey, give me $8 million and I'll keep things quiet even though you molested my daughter," if you really believe that, how much do you care about your daughter? I got a problem with that.
Yeah, her sanity and well-being is worth $8 million.
Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, there's no amount of money in the world. If I think somebody actually touched my daughter inappropriately, $1 billion is not getting me. I'm not taking a deal.
Billion?
Fuck that.
You could have him killed.
I might give you an eyeball. but there's no money that's going to be. To me, I'm like, you're a bad guy. You got to go away no matter what.
So here's what we've learned from Bryan is that he's a huge tipper on takeout,
Right.
and that $1 billion.
No, I'm
He would
friends
turn
with
his
huge
nose
tippers.
up. That's a lot of tip money. He would turn his nose up on $1 billion.
I mean, I know if it was tax free, we can talk.
We can talk.
There's a number. Like I said,
All right.
everybody has a number.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the government and the way California works, because Governor Newsom over here in California has already, he's been running ads in other states. He's poised to challenge Kamala Harris if Biden steps out of the next race. An insider said he's undeniably, unequivocally planning to run for president in 2024 if President Biden chooses not to seek a second term. However, crunched a couple of numbers, looked at a couple things, and in terms of a hypothetical matchup between Ron DeSantis and Newsom, this research poll, Probolsky research poll, has DeSantis beating Newsom in California. Wow. Where 85% of the state's Republicans would choose him.
The problem is we know him.
That's right. The poll also sees DeSantis taking the lead among independents, Latinos, and voters between 40 and 49.
Latinos are different than so they have the community, they do the black community and the Latino community. The black community will just stay Democrat, ride or die. Doesn't matter how much fucking crime there is in the inner city or whatever's promised that never works or lack of school choice or whatever. They just go, fuck it, we're staying the course. Latinos are like, we'll move on if we're not getting what we want. And also, they're traditionally kind of religious, they're kind of conservative, they're very hardworking.
Right. Plus, Cubans vote differently than Mexicans.
Sure.
Yeah, but they're definitely losing the Latinos, which they just figured, you're a minority, you vote for us.
We have you.
And the minorities, rightfully so, they're like, yeah, okay, you're nicer to us, or you like us more, you do more shit for us. But after a little while of not getting any shit but lip service, they go, fuck it, we want lower taxes.
Yeah. You've
what happens.
interviewed Gavin Newsom a couple times, right?
Yes, there's something wrong with him.
Yeah. Is he an intellectual lightweight? What is it? Or is he just a guy who's just willing to do whatever I can finish his sentences. That's what my problem is. I'm like somebody's telling you what to say because it's almost like rote. I'd like to know how he really thinks.
He's not stupid. He has one extra bullet chambered, but no clip, So when you ask, he's not used to things, So he says, what got us going is he told me that half the Latino and black population of, I think California has no access to checking accounts. Now, he's lying. First thing he does is lie. He's used to walking around in some world where he goes, man, black people really taking it on the chin, and everyone goes, that a boy, yeah, you're right. No one ever goes, what's going on with him?
Yeah,
which is confusing to him. So he starts with a blatant lie. First off, we have language for a reason. It's not that they don't have access to a checking account. It's that from a percentage standpoint, lesser blacks choose to have a checking account and Hispanics than Armos and Asians. Okay, it's not access. They're banks. You can get a checking account. But maybe a lower percentage of them choose to have or not have a checking account. That's a talking. We can start with that conversation. So what are we talking about? Now we're talking about going to schools and setting up kiosks and bringing the banks to Muhammad, or whatever. I'm all for the bookmobile. I'm all for the blood drive mobile. I'm all for the vaccination mobile. Okay, let's follow. He just makes this an announcement, which is a lie, and then wants to move on. And then I go, well, what are you doing about it? What's the plan? Why? And then now he's fucked up. Because no one ever says to him, well, why or what? And then he goes to bum stumble his way through at some point he's saying to me, it simply is that way.
Wow.
Which is like the opposite of what you want from government. These poor people are suffering. Half of California, half the Latino community.
What are you going to do?
This place is half Latino.
Was AOC, did she
Don't
show
have
up and
access?
say, did AOC show up and say, I've never seen you yell at a
No,
chick
she didn't
thing
tell me
guy?
that. So
in
then,
public
unfortunately,
like that?
I just kept going with him. And then he's also a liar, and he is dumb, because then he'll go, it's not just limited to the Black and Latino community. And now he spun off in some other direction where I kept asking him why you keep bringing those up. And then he goes, because the numbers are so fast, which then makes me ask why. Then what? What do you want to do about it?
And he's got no answer.
Who knows what's in the recesses?
Yeah.
Maybe he just thinks blacks and browns are too dumb. I don't know. He won't say what the answer is.
He's such a politician, man. He's just, I don't believe a word
get
he's
it.
saying.
I get what he's doing. He's attractive to many fucking dingbats who think, sorry, Gina, in California who just vote for this guy because they look at him. Oh, look at him. He's compassionate. You know
Look
what I
at
mean?
that head of hair.
Look at him.
6'4".
Great hair, but he really cares. He cares. He cares about the black and the brown community. What's the fucking policy with the check cashing? Where's your policy? He never got to it. We went around for 20 minutes. He wouldn't.
Wow.
He also told me the biggest problem with the homeless was moms with kids.
Moms with kids.
Not crazy people and drugs. He told me the real face.
That's incredible.
Of homelessness. He goes places that are sort of friendly to him, and he doesn't get.
Yeah.
We got to play that NPR fucking thing where somebody asked him to follow up, like, why are people leaving California?
Well, they look for that. Bryan's 100% right. Like, he's a politician. He's a good politician because he has an answer.
He's only good if people are stupid.
Well, no, he has a talking point for every issue. You know,
Right.
ask him to have a talking point. You dig a little deeper, and there's not a lot of follow-up
That's
or
what I
nuance or thought or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like opinions.
He just throws words like equity around.
He's
which is
good. He's
essentially-
telegenic, and he'll have an answer, you know, a rote answer like you alluded to for every question.
Made a lot of money. Made a lot of
We
money.
have
off
the
of,
Sway podcast from the New York Times, but you have to really listen to it. He's asked why people leave California, and he answers with, where are you going to go?
Is that what he said?
Well, it's like saying,
Here it is.
everyone is leaving your restaurant. Nobody likes the food. And you go, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
And the answer is to other restaurants. But it's not just, yes, he's a skilled politician. Sadly, this passes as a skilled politician because people are so fucking dumb.
Non-threatening.
But he doesn't say anything. He says insane things. Here it is. It's a short clip.
Former Governor Brown said it best, where the hell are you going to go? And, you know, I love Texas. Don't get me wrong.
Is that the new California motto? Where the hell are you going to go?
Well, I don't know, but he said it. But it was an interesting point because where are you going to get so many of the other things in the balance sheet?
But you are aware that I've lived there for 2 decades, essentially. And this is the first time I've had people really talking about not being there and not that they could figure it out somewhere else. I don't think that's true. I think they can figure out where they're going to go.
Yeah, and then that means, but it's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
Okay, I have a friend who just
All right, hold on.
went
So
to...
he starts off by saying, it's like Jerry Brown said, where are you going to go? And then she goes, well, anywhere. And I don't think that's true. And he goes, yeah, he said it.
Okay.
So he quotes the former Governor Jerry Brown's quote, but then goes, yeah, that's
Anyway.
not me saying it.
No.
Well, it is you saying it.
So what are you saying?
What are you saying? And then he goes on to regale us with a story of folks that moved to Utah that he was dear friends with.
And then that means, but it's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
What does that
Okay,
mean?
I have a friend who just went to Utah. Beautiful. It may be the right thing for him. They've made a ton of money. They have the ability to take their kids out of public school into private school, and they're doing that. And, you know, I imagine they're not going to turn their back forever on California.
Okay. So that's a good idea.
That's not what zero-sum game
He doesn't
means.
have an answer. I don't think
He's asked why people are leaving California and then noted a couple of his friends that left.
And are having a great
but
life.
This is what I mean by him not being that
There's
smart.
something wrong with him, is what I'm saying.
Bill Clinton would have given you an answer, and you would have been eaten out of his hand.
Yes.
This guy's not saying
Obama
anything.
would have done
yes.
the
I've
same.
never heard this guy say anything. I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
This is
I don't know
why
if he
we're
knows.
the dumbest
He's
state in
not
the nation.
saying
He doesn't
anything.
say anything. Well, he is saying something. He said Jerry Brown said something that he quotes but doesn't agree with, and then he gave examples of people leaving California.
It's like
who may come back, even though they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I just, we were supposed to live in a country where somebody runs for office, they get elected, and then the next time they have to run for election, they have to justify the choices they made while in office. And I don't know what the fuck he's saying. He's just going, yeah, Jerry Brown said, where the hell else are you going to go?
I can't picture this on a national level. I just can't picture what his policies would be.
Yeah. But I think he's going to get eaten alive. I think he's going to.
It'd be nice. It's just sad that people love him.
Just, I don't know if people do.
He had
people who
I don't know
that
I don't know. He won in he won the recall and the landslide.
That's true.
We're not.
That's true.
We don't care.
That might have been because people were just afraid of the instability and didn't really like his replacement.
It's an intellectual dishonesty, which is at some point, look. California, everyone in my family is Democrat. That's over the way they've been voting. At some point, you have to go, these policies are fucking bad, and you're just going to have to vote another direction.
Right.
You're just going to have to give it up.
Right.
And then you could go back or something. But you're just going to have to at some point just go, I know these are my guys. They're just not, they're not running the show correctly. Yeah. We need to go another direction, and we'll see how that works.
Right.
You just need to be a little more fluid. All right, one more, Gina Grad.
All right. Well, let's talk about this. A Gallup poll suggests that there are officially more Americans smoking weed than smoking cigarettes. According to the poll, the percentage of Americans who
smoke...
Is that
shocking?
Well, anymore it's not.
By 70s standards.
Yeah, who smoke marijuana has reached a record high of 16%, while the percentage of Americans smoking cigarettes is 11%. CNET reports that 19 states have approved marijuana for recreational purposes and 38 states for medical use.
Gina, sorry, I'm a little out of the game. Is smoking marijuana like the way to do it? I thought it was all edibles and gummies and drops and shit.
No, you still
Well, you can
smoke.
vape like a
I know
motherfucker.
you can smoke, but I figured that all the kids these days were...
Oh, no, there's quite a nice selection of
When
flower
they
and
smoking,
bud.
they mean smoking.
Yeah,
I mean, gummies are unpredictable too. Like I ate a hash brownie and I called the Poison Control Center because I couldn't figure out why time had slowed down and why I couldn't feel myself breathing. I called Artie Lang. I was like, Artie, you're a seasoned drug addict. I'm fucking dying. He goes, you're not dying. I was literally, I called the Poison Control Center. I go, I ate a hash brownie. And she goes, where are you? I was like, and I hung up.
Right.
I mean, it was a bad situation.
Well, do you remember that a few years ago, that police officer with his wife who was off duty and they ate a bunch of pot brownies and called 911? Remember that?
No, I don't remember
see
that
if we
one.
can find that. I mean, we've played. It was a couple years ago.
You'll hallucinate. You'll actually start believing you're gonna die.
Absolutely. So he called because he thought he was dying.
Yeah,
and it was.
I couldn't feel myself
glorious.
breathing. I couldn't track my breathing.
Exactly.
I've done that with mushrooms.
Yeah.
I took 6 grams of mushrooms, and I didn't know what that would do to me.
6
I
grams.
know, and I didn't know that was more than a hero's dose. I'm not a seasoned tripper. I dissolved into the sun. And I died twice.
Oh my God.
And I went from being inside a genie bottle where everything was amazing to being in an infinite loop of hell. I remember I couldn't lift my head, and I kept looking for a manager to complain to. I was like, I gotta speak to somebody. I don't belong here. I'm a good person, but I'm in this hell. I'm in this loop. And there was no one who would answer my call. Is there somebody I can talk to? It's like in a restaurant where the food is fucking scalding hot and your mouth's on fire. That's what happened to me. And it was a bad situation.
It happens that one of the times that happened to me was at my second time at Coachella, before everybody knew which Coachella was, where you still had to bring a walkie-talkie because your cell phone didn't work. And I started tripping balls, and I was clinging to the grass, holding onto it because I didn't want to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And this shirtless dude came up to me and was like, "Miss, are you okay?" And I knew for a fact he was an undercover cop.
Yes.
And I kept trying to crawl away from him like, and he kept following me, and I was like, so now I have 2 problems. I'm going to fall off the grass, and this cop won't stop following me.
Was it acid or mushrooms?
It was mushrooms.
You licked a toad.
And it was cocktail. Yeah.
Adam, you've never done psychedelics, I take it.
Yeah, I've done mushrooms.
Oh, you have?
It's fun. I mean, if you don't do that much.
Yeah, I had a good time on mushrooms. A couple times I did it. I ran into Unfortunately, I was having a good time, and then I ran into someone who was high on coke, and then she fucked up my mushroom high.
God. You just have to point those people toward the wall and let them talk to the wall.
Next thing you know, I'm in the bathroom with my friend's girlfriend who's high on coke, and she keeps asking why I don't like her. And it's so important because she loves my friend so much that I like her.
That's hell.
And I was like,
That's
I
the
don't
worst.
even know. I love everyone.
I'll
I
take
love
the cop.
everyone. And she's like, she's all coked up. Why I don't like her because her friend, my friend, it's so important. She's getting into that thing where it's like, I care so much because he looks up to you. He looks up to you. And I'm just like fucking high on mushrooms going, please. Can't maintain.
No.
You're harsh on my Mel, bitch.
You deserve a mulligan.
Yeah.
You need a do-over.
Nobody ever did a lot of cocaine, and no one in the history of the world, and like the next day went, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I came up with a great idea for a business, and I mended that relationship with my mother.
And the other time I got high, I used to ride a motorcycle back in the day, and there was a girl who was tripping out like you were at Coachella, and I wasn't feeling it. So I was like, I'm going home, and I was getting on my motorcycle, and she was going ape shit. Like, you can't ride a motorcycle. Because she thought I was where she was at, but I wasn't where she was at.
for her.
And she was like crying on the lawn because I was hop on a motorcycle, which is...
Dude, that's such a mind fuck. I know. You can't control the world. My buddy, I did literally 1 gram of mushrooms, and I'm just not a seasoned tripper. And my buddy just looked at me. He was taking me to the airport, and I was like, gotta get to the airport. And I'm trying to focus. And he goes, we're going to stop at the DMV for a second. I went, no, I can't. It's going to take too long. And then he goes, okay. Then we drive, and he go, I just got to get a smog check, though. And he goes, what? Please. And he was just fucking with me.
That's awesome.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Next stop, a cock in your mouth.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
There we go.
Well, then there's Keeps. Over 50 million men in the U.S. experience some male pattern baldness. Most cases, hair loss can be prevented and treated. Keeps, a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months in discreet packaging. 24/7 care and support. Keeps has a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and specialists. Low cost starts at just $10 per month. Treatment plans are typically half the cost of the pharmacy prices. Prevention is key, so that's why you got to get going with Keeps. Treatment can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so let's act fast with Keeps, right, Dawson?
If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/Adam to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/Adam. To get your first month free, keeps.com/Adam.
God, he's good.
Bryan Callen, nobody better and nobody more interesting and thought-provoking or well-read than Bryan Callen. Man Tears, very funny stand-up special. It's available on his YouTube channel as well. Live dates coming up Spokane, Thursday through Sunday at the Comedy Club, Spokane Comedy Club. Very nice club out there. BryanCallen.com is where you go for all the live events and a YouTube show, Best of with Bryan Callen as well. And until next time, thanks for joining us, man.
You're a good man. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone. Dawson, thanks for that voice.
Hollywood Improv, October 19th, doing a stand-up show there. You go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Bryan Callen, Gina Grad, and Bob Bryan saying mahalo.
I'm here to kill, and that's what's happening today.
Make sure you pick up a copy of Adam's